Okay, cool. We're recording.
Yeah.
So
That
no,
makes
that's
sense. Like, oh, I now give Consuelo Brady permission to record this meeting. All right, California, you're welcome. Type of vibe. I'm really happy right now. Like, by the way, like your posts give me like the most joy out of everything that I see on my Instagram.
Thank you. That really warms my heart to hear because I don't know. That's that's like
Yeah.
my
First
running.
of all, I will say the one compliments
Yeah,
are easy to give but hard to take.
they really are, and so I have been working really hard to just sit in that and accept it, and so I really I really feel that, and thank you. Like it.
Yeah. Whenever you make a post, like, do you start like I noticed yours is kind of like a channel, I guess. It's almost like you have like a schedule and intent with your post. Like, do you go into
Oh wow.
certain posts kind of like with the curating it? Like, do you go for a certain joy or like like what is your Instagram now? Do you think it was when you first made it? Like, it seems now like you go into it with like how do I best word this? Kind of just like you go into it going just like you're trying to spread joy, you're trying to teach about
Mhm.
mental health, you have a more focus on your posts more than like the average person who might post what they ate today or like a graduation or more or less.
Yeah, that's really funny because I don't have an intention or like a schedule. I really um just kind of post what I'm feeling or what I'm going through. Like a lot of the times when I'm posting stuff like give yourself grace, give yourself some, give yourself some wiggle room or like let yourself chill. I'm speaking to myself. And then I just kind of am like, I hear a lot where people are like, wow, your message really resonates. And so I remind myself, like, okay, I need to get out of my head and then just share. And then, like, hopefully it'll land where it lands and whoever needs to hear it will hear it. But I'm really just kind of talking to myself. And then it's turning out to like just really so I found Codependence Anonymous about 9 years ago, and it's like a 12 step. It's like an AA, but for codependency. And
Hmm.
the one thing that I learned there is like you're not alone. It was like I had so many of these like thoughts or all these things going through my mind all the time, and it was like getting in this support group and sitting around a circle of strangers, and we each had 3 minutes to talk, and it was like I saw myself in every single one of these people's story. um, and so yeah, I don't know, I just share what's on my heart, what's going on. And I know it's someone's called me eclectic, and I welcome it because I guess like I see the connection in everything. Like mental health is connected to what you eat, and what you eat is connected to like food systems that's much larger than like, oh, you're not eating organic or you're eating animals, like how dare you. Like, I don't know, that's it's so much bigger than that.
Do you still eat animals?
I do.
Oh, okay. Well, fist bump for that.
I do. Like, look, for me, I have a real problem with like hardcore veganism because to me it's anti-indigenous. Like,
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
yeah, like no, is factory farming terrible? Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Do I respect animals? Yes, but I
You
eat
resent
them
animals?
consciously. I respect.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you resent animals. Like, yeah, those
No, no,
deer. Like,
no,
one time I was on a trip and they cut me off. I hit a tree or something like that.
no,
I
no,
thought like you're eating meat as like revenge for a sec.
no, 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 no.
No, you don't sound like a revenge person though. No.
But no, it's so funny because, well, since I'm a yoga teacher, people like almost the first thing they say is, "Oh, I'm not flexible," and then the second thing they say is, "Oh, are you vegetarian?" And I go, "No, no,
Really? Okay. I didn't know that that plays into flexibility at all.
no." The thing with I don't know, people just always make that comment where they're like, "Oh, I don't want to start yoga because I'm not flexible," and I'm like,
I love yoga, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but in my life I've done 15 sessions of beginners yoga. Like, went to
"Ooh,
classes, had a mat. Yeah, I love yoga. Love it.
ooh."
Honestly, what I love about yoga. I feel like it works out the things that you need to work, the things that work out the things.
Yeah,
Like whatever connects joints and ligaments and muscle tissue, like that. It works that out, and you need that connective, like to work out those connective muscles. Because if you're just working like doing jujitsu or just doing like boxing or whatever it may be, just as the workout,
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna grind you down. It's gonna mess with your energy level. It's hard to be consistent. And then
Mm.
on top of that, you might get injured if you don't do yoga. You're doing all that.
Yeah. So I think that's such a great point and something that I tell people all the time, like just the physical practice of yoga. It's so good to have a variety in the stuff that you're doing. So if you are doing like a lot of strength training, you do lose flexibility, and you do lose that range of motion in your joints and everything. And so the yoga is such a great addition to it.
It's
And then
also a workout in itself. I mean,
yeah,
I've never been more exhausted than I was doing yoga.
and then it depends too. And so, when I teach yoga, especially in new place or with new people, I like to always talk about like, look, yoga comes from India. It's like 5,000 years old. I'm a Latina in Long Beach teaching this like really old um this it's a
It's
whole
very eclectic of you.
lifestyle. Well, it's not just, the physical part. Like it's about the mental part, it's about the breath work, it's about meditation. There's something called namas and niyamas, which is like how you show up in the community and how you show up for yourself. So like what we're talking about, like having like good habits and stuff for yourself, like that's part of a yogic practice, like a yogic tradition. And you can be a yogi and literally never like do any of the physical poses. So it's a really, really rich practice. And
Yeah, I love that we're talking about yoga because I love just like sharing the benefits of yoga with as
yeah.
many people as I can. It's one, you feel incredible, and two, when you as you start to really progress in the moves and really start to learn,
Yeah.
your own body, you
Hmm.
get impressed with like how much you can handle, and then like how flexible you become, and like how much better you just feel throughout your day. I love telling people about yoga, and
Yes.
uh, and what's oddly enough, I feel like my fan base is gonna love this.
Really?
Uh, oh yeah, a lot. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, a lot of my fan base is probably that male age range between 25 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of my male fan base, but a lot of my people that the most good reviews I've gotten have come from whenever I put people on to other people
Yeah.
who just have dope ideas or really good content or just really good exercising. A lot of my friends are meatheads and love to work out, and
Oh,
they
it's
they
funny.
don't buy it. It's
Well,
so hard to get someone into yoga too, because you get someone into running, they can just go outside and do it. Versus yoga, I guess the big thing is like they can YouTube moves, but they're not sure if they're doing it right, and then they're
yeah.
not sure if they're getting anything out of it and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I totally get that. And it's funny because I saw your first guest was the Stockton Strangler. And so Anthony,
Yes,
he was
I love
my
him.
neighbor. He lived in my building. And then so he got me into he introduced me to someone, and we were teaching like the free lunch break yoga in the park here in Long Beach. So um
Oh, really? Okay.
I
Are you talking
yeah.
about the one that's on at that same beach, Cherry and Ocean?
Oh no, so here in downtown, at the Promenade Park. Um
Okay.
is where I was teaching, but I stopped with with quarantine and everything. But the thing with yoga, and that's another thing that I talk a lot about, is the accessibility of yoga. And number one, like it's not for skinny, well, not only for skinny white people,
Oh,
or
not
just
the
women.
thick Mexican. Me and Andy Ruiz are the
Yeah.
same person.
Absolutely. Like you don't have to buy any specific clothes. You don't have to buy a mat if you don't have one. And I do recommend to people, like if you're feeling intimidated, to go to a studio, which isn't really available right now, but if you're feel intimidated to like practice in front of other people, like I do recommend YouTube. But if you do have injuries or something like that, or limited mobility, or you're like, I really have no clue, then yeah, like I would understand why someone feels scared or trepidatious to start, because you're like, I don't want
Yeah,
to.
it's unless you're like it's harder to start something new, at least for me, if unless you get like an immediate like feedback from it.
Yeah, I get it. And then the other thing is, it also depends, like there's so many different styles of yoga. So my favorite to teach is actually gentle, like gentle yoga. Um which I feel
That
like
sounds
is
nice. That
pretty
sounds nice.
challenging. It's so good, but it's like more mentally challenging because when you're like working out or when you're running, like you're really like moving and like in the flow, and so I feel like it's easier to quiet your mind because you can focus like just very specifically on your movement. But when you get really still, like your mind tends to go crazy and overdrive. And so I feel like your body feels really good in gentle yoga, and then you learn to like to have a different relationship to your thoughts. Like they're always going to be there and they're always going to be like kind of wild, but you can.
What would be like a sorry to cut you off.
No, yeah.
What would be like a gentle yoga move like that you would say is part of that?
Yeah, and so and one is called child's pose. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And so gentle, it just means like we're gonna do less poses, we're gonna go slower, and then we might just spend more time in a pose. So like instead of
Mhm.
having child's pose, which is, you know, like if you're on your hands and your knees and then you push your bottom back and then you're laying, like that's child's pose. So instead of having that just be like a, oh, this is a stopping point if you're tired, to just really intentionally be in that pose and like really let like gravity pull your body down, or like really like feel your forehead against the ground, and like really like breathe fully into your body while in that shape.
That sounds like the yoga I would take. I would get a lot out of that too. Just
Mhm.
feeling my breathing. It's almost like meditation. And when you're doing that,
Yeah.
it's weird how like whatever if something bothered me that day or something didn't bother me in the moment,
Hmm.
just being in a child's pose or being in one of the poses and just feeling my breathing and just it helps me look at whatever I'm facing as that is a problem, but now in this pose, it's not bothering me as hard as it was. Like it has no physiological pull to me.
Yeah. um yeah, and then I know well, I'm
And that's
actually.
insane. I don't get that from anything else. Like when I'm running, it's a little more intense. It's a little more like I'll be okay. Like
Mhm.
I'm just like I'm not carrying that emotion. It's just like an extra weight, like a weighted vest or something. And
Yeah.
then I feel great, like I accomplished something after the run, but I
Mhm.
don't feel as soothed.
See, okay, because so this is a great point. And so you've seen probably the yin and yang symbol, right? The circle with like the
Right.
black and the white. And so it's like we culturally, like we're very young, we're very masculine, very action oriented, very like do and like that, like forceful, which is fine, you know, that's great. But you do need to incorporate the balance of the yin, of the allowing and creating space. And so I feel like in our culture, you know, anything like anything feminine is seen as bad, or especially if you're a man doing something that's like gentle yoga or soft, anything in that realm, it's like you're gay, or like this is bad, like this is that's
Right.
so bad, don't do that shit. And so at the start of 2020, it was like I want to talk about yoga and all of this with men, and specifically men of color, because it's not something that we encourage with black and brown
Mhm.
men, to like, you can rest and it's okay to be held and not, I don't know, like it's okay. It's okay to slow down.
It's
You don't have to
okay. Yeah.
slow
And
down.
also, it's good for you. Like, why is it
Yes.
cool to not do something that is really good for you? Like expressing emotion and
Mhm.
properly digesting grief or sadness.
Yes.
That's all really good for you. Yeah, that's all helps. That helps you be stronger. In fact, it's very difficult. It's to as a man or even just as a person, just to really accept how you're feeling and take the proper steps towards healing.
Yeah.
And just being let yourself be sad or be emotional or just be vulnerable.
Yes.
Vulnerability is something like, especially in the male community or in you're right in the male of color community, that's just something that we value as much. I think the sports world kind of perpetuates that a little bit. Like in broadcast, like they'll really highlight a player that's doing well, but has faced adversity. Is like, look, he's not letting this stop him. This is not letting this stop him. He's still running for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's on the anniversary of his brother's death, and he's going, and like they don't highlight the fact, and it makes it seem like that's the way to go about healing more
Right.
so than the actual process of it, of accepting grief and having a moment to yourself and letting it out and really talking about it. Now luckily I was born into this. I'm 26 years old, and I was born sensitive. Like I
Mhm.
remember the very first memories is I bought an NSYNC CD at 4 years old. uh, I don't know if you're a fan of boy bands, but like I was a huge fan of boy bands when I was a kid. I got bullied a lot for it, but I just thought they were dope.
Yeah.
Regardless, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Which CD?
This I can't remember the name of it. It's the one where they're all on strings.
Ah, the puppet one. Yeah. Hell
With
yeah.
Instinct, yeah, that had all the bangers on it. That's low key a classic. I was just low
It
key
is.
discovering gold at a young age.
You
That's
are.
the one that has "It's Gonna Be Me" on it.
Yes. I love it.
I loved Instinct. I loved Justin Timberlake as a fan. I was just an emotional kid. Like I always cried a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, I was super sensitive, and I always said what was on my mind. I just
Mhm.
and then as I got older, I kind of fell into like this machismo kind of phase where I just wanted to just work on fighting and just like play sports all day. And then I kind of would push that down a little bit. And then yeah, as you get older, you realize this is not the way. You just learn what works and what doesn't, and
Yeah.
just being
And
vulnerable is like one of the strongest things you can do because you have to learn how to do that too.
yeah, and just honoring like who you are. And that's the other thing. It's like we're all so different. Like I was a really sensitive kid too. For your like family and stuff, did they nurture that sensitive part of you? Like how was your family and stuff with that?
Uh, Good question. I never really thought about that, which says a lot, I guess. I would say that my mother, yeah, my parents were really supportive of that. They would, if I had like an issue, they would hear me out, and
Yeah.
then they would talk to me about it. They wouldn't say like they wouldn't. They were really good at not joking around or insulting any type of way that I felt as a kid.
That's
Like
awesome.
if I had something bother me from school, like if I had like a bully problem, or if I just had like a self esteem issue, like I can go to. I remember this moment. And this is really letting you in on my mindset, but when I was a kid, I was probably like in the fourth or fifth grade, and I was having a problem with this bully. And then I told my mom, like, I hate being ugly. And she's like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
Hold on. First and foremost, you're not ugly. Second of all, that's not gonna stop anything if you are. Like you're at it, like they were just like, just take a moment. My mom said, just take a moment, you'll be all right, you're fine. And that's not gonna be an issue at all. You're in the fourth grade. And they're really good at just like acknowledging the problem and telling me how might I be feeling and just really discussing it. And it's funny because outside of those emotional moments, there it was mostly in my house a lot of roasting. Like we would just insult each other and joke around each other all the time in that way. But my mom, and shout out to my parents. I probably had some of the best parents in the world that were really good at just like if I'm having a moment, if I'm having a tough time at school, if any of these extra classes I'm taking are just breaking me down, like they're really good at talking to me and just making me feel better about it.
That's
Just
so
talking it out.
were they older when they had you or were they young?
Super old. My mom's 70 right now.
Wow. Okay.
What's
See.
funny is my roommate, he's 49 years old, and
Mhm.
him and my mom are the same age. My mom and his mom are the same age.
Yeah. See, because it's like, and I love my parents and they're really wonderful, but they were young, and so there's definitely like an emotional maturity that they didn't have, and so that's just working through that. Like one of my practices for many years was reparenting myself, and I still feel like part of it. I'm still kind of in that. But I just got to a certain point where it's like, I'm 36 now, and it's like at a certain point you have to stop looking back and be like, oh, my parents did this and that, and it's like, no, well, what do I really need? And just really like accepting that your parents are people and all kinds of stuff. But that's so beautiful.
Do you go to therapy, or
I
are
do.
you doing this all by yourself?
I have been in therapy for about a year recently, and then I've been in therapy before, so I am a really big fan. I'm a big fan of it, and then I've also just read a lot of books. Like I really love psychology. Like I studied psychology in high school, so I've always just been like tuned in and tapped into that, and just reading I've read a million self-help books. Like I literally like healing is my full-time jam. Like if I'm not
That's your thing. That's what you're into. Like that's your pursuit.
100%, a hundred
That
percent. So yeah, and
it's not quite mine, but I had to, like you said, I had to learn a lot to kind of take this in. It's kind of just something I've been into.
mhm,
Just making myself better, and not to say I'm the best mental health, but I feel like because of that, I kind of know the steps to get out of that problem.
mhm,
We talked about it not too long ago. Probably the last time we tried to book this was that I had like a good uh 2 week period where I just drank all the time. This is not even that long ago, where I had a pretty bad breakup, and essentially like I knew I had to have my moment, I had to cry, and I had to really just keep on keeping on and really think about who I am and what's next. But
Yeah.
also, I know that a lot of that when you have a traumatic moment, you might act out and you might do some irrational things and have irrational reasoning for them. So I thought, and I don't know if good idea or not, but I thought, let me do that intentionally. You let me know how you feel about that. I did it intentionally, where
Mm.
I thought, okay, it's gonna leak this traumatic thing. I know I'm doing all the right steps, but it's gonna leak into my life somehow. So might as well let me intentionally try to like poke a hole here and try to make it leak. So I drank before, during, after hard days work, just for just every moment that I could, and I would just do that for like 9 days, knowing that I had sober January coming up.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's kind of how I went into that. I've always been a fan of like psychology too. I remember I used to date a girl in college that I didn't go to her college,
Hmm.
and her psychology professors were just the dopest people and never took attendance. So
Mm.
I would get to go to her to these classes for free,
Yeah.
and I would participate in the homework. And I took a lot of them. I took human sexuality, I took psychology, I took a couple of psychology classes, sociology there at her school.
Hmm.
And this has been something that I've always been interested in, and really helped me, get over that. Because then at some point I did realize, okay, it was fun to try. It was fun just being drunk all the time and joking around all the time, but also it just wasn't. It's not the way to really go about things. And
Yeah.
after learning how to heal, then after that 2 week period of I had my little sad moment, now I feel like okay, now I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to enjoy, and I know that on my day to day, I don't enjoy drinking and being drunk and waking up hungover and having this
Mhm.
poison in me. Like, let's get back to the show. Let's just get back to like doing what I love. And it's gonna hurt. Whatever the memory of what happened would hurt. Same way like losing a friend or family member. But I mean, that's part of just life. You just gotta learn to live through it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So there's this author that I love. His name is Dr. Gabor Mate, and he survived the Holocaust. He was a baby when it happened, and so his work is specifically in addiction, and um, and he has another book called like When the Body Says No, and I love his work so much. And it's like it's this holistic view of people, and it's like why you were drinking that much. It's you have something going on. And so I think that just in general, like we need to be more supportive of each other. And like I don't know, I don't drink. I grew up around alcoholism. So when I was an adult, I was like, I don't want to use alcohol as a crutch. I did. There were some times where I was going through some shit where I was like, I'm gonna get fucked up every day. I lived that life for a little bit, and I knew, and it was the same thing with you. Like I knew that it wasn't for me. I didn't like who I was when I was drunk. I didn't like the I didn't like the shit I would say or the things I would do. Like I didn't like who I
It's
was.
just harder too, like just day to day, like, okay, now I gotta go brush my teeth, but I'm already slumped, and I
Mm,
gotta get into the shower, and I'm already into this podcast I'm watching, like I'm joking around with the homies, I
mhm.
gotta go to bed, it's already 4 a.m. Like it's harder to do too.
It's yeah, I don't know. I get it's easier when you're younger. I think like I just remember um being up until like 3 a.m. or something at the club and like, going to work at I don't know, sleeping 3 hours and then going to work and like throwing up in the
Oh,
bed.
I just staged out. I can't do that no more. I just staged out of that.
Like
I
so
used to be like 21. You know what? We'll just
yep,
pull
at
an all nighter. I
21.
got a 7 a.m. shift. I'm at four. It's 4 a.m. right now, and I'm at Norms. And I got to take me an hour to eat. Let's just
Yeah.
pull an all nighter and then go work an 8 hour shift with
Never.
overtime.
Not never. Not never again.
Nah, I think after I think you get like a good year or two of that, and then your body is just like, no, we can't do it. We gotta think about the long run.
And then it's that thing where like you need um to go inward. Like what is it? Like what is it? What is this really about? And that's why like in the work that I do. So I was doing a lot of healing work inside, right? Like I was diagnosed with high blood pressure at 18. And so you see me, I was like 120 pounds. I'm like 5'4". and the doctors are looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like you're small, you're fit, you like, why the hell do you have high blood pressure? So that put me on a whole um
Was it the alcohol that did it, or like what caused the high blood pressure, or
I
you
don't
just
know.
had? No.
They don't know. They never found a cause. Um they never found a cause. So I started changing how I eat, and then I had like a mental health crisis 9 years ago. That's what got me that's how I found Coda. That's how I found yoga, actually, and then journaling. So I was doing those three things um, every single day. I was doing yoga every single day, journaling every day, and then going to Coda twice a week. And that literally like saved my life and has put me on the track basically that I am on now. And then as far as like a spiritual awakening, that happened about a year ago. So it's just been like all these different phases and different types of health like crises that have brought me to where I am today. And so like I've done a lot of work on myself, and like through all of it I keep hitting a wall and being like, you know what, I don't live in a vacuum. Like we don't we're not little islands onto ourselves. Like we live in a community, we live in cities, we like interact with other people. And so it's like I so when I talk about like food justice or like redlining or like all kinds of there's so many factors that are outside of our control that impact our health. Like, you know, there's a huge disparity with like black people in the medical system, or like the infant
Mm,
mortality rate for no black women giving birth are have like the highest rate of death, um,
yeah.
black babies. So it's like looking at this stuff, and even with COVID right now, seeing like the machine that measures like the oxygen level, it's designed by white people, and they don't work that well on black people, and so black people are having a more difficult time recovering because they put this little machine on their finger and they're like, oh, your oxygen level's fine, you got to go home. Meanwhile, this black person is like, I can't fucking breathe. And they're like, well, no, the machine says it's all right. And so it's like, so this is, I know it
Mm.
sounds wild, but like all these things are connected. Like when you only have white people, you know, in STEM creating these these devices, these
Medical
medical
devices,
devices.
basically.
Yeah, the racism is embedded in the system in so many ways. So like all of these things are connected. But so yeah, this is
I
my
think so. I know I gotta let you go soon, and I think one
yeah.
of the things I want to press on too is you got something going on coming up tomorrow. Actually, you're gonna be live streaming something, right?
I do. I have a group energy healing tomorrow, and I will be offering it once a month. Once a month. So yeah, you can follow me on Eventbrite or on Instagram. And so what we do, it's an hour long, start to finish, and it's a guided meditation and breath work. Um, and so yeah, it's this work has been so powerful for me.
Oh, but that's the Long Beach you can hear outside. That's this is taking place in Long Beach.
It's via Zoom.
Oh no, like you can hear like I got a whole ambulance like
Oh, I
going through. I got birds waking up. I got people in my house microwaving bacon. This park where I'm at, it's actually in Long Beach too. I'm off of. I can't say. Never mind. I can't say where I'm at, but I'm in Long Beach too.
you've made
But
it.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. That's why I was so looking forward to when I saw that to doing this
Oh
today. I'm like, okay, I get to put this out tonight,
yeah.
and I get to share this to my fans because I know of anyone that wants to get into mental health, just healing themselves,
Mhm.
or just wants to just feel good about their day and their actions, and really, it's just some positivity. I always, I share your stuff that you post on my account and try to get people to follow you for that reason,
Yeah.
because that what gets me into um thinking that things are going to be okay, or to really take a proper step that's going to, be good for me. It usually stems after I see a post from you,
Oh.
and I hope you get that a lot because I love when you post, and I love when the fact that there's someone out there like you
Mhm.
who's so okay with sharing their experience. That's another thing I like about your page is that you share from anything that you post comes from like an experience, like here's something that I've done and here's something that I've learned kind of perspective from that.
Yeah. Because I don't like. I feel like I shied away from sharing so openly for so long because it's like, oh, you see people and you're like, oh, that seems like weird, or I don't know. But it's like
Yeah,
it's
you don't know if you're doing it wrong too. That's the thing. Like you don't know if, okay, if you're sharing, like I'm sharing this to help you guys, and then you don't know if you're. At least for me, I'm insecure about sharing some personal things because okay, what if I'm just so far behind learning something that everyone I'm sharing this with is just like, yeah, of course, of course.
and you know what? And you have to like so part of myself, like I have to be like, it that doesn't matter. Like you sometimes we need to be reminded. Like I was sitting and I was like looking through old stuff that I'd written, and I'm like, damn, like that I was like, damn, that's like a really good post. And I'm like, fuck, I forgot. Like so much of like the work and everything that I do, like for me, it's all about like remembering. Like at the core, the thing with healing, like, look, you right now are okay. Like in moment to moment, you are okay. What I'm what you need to do all the time is remember that you're okay, because you know we get so lost in like what we're doing, how we're looking, how we're sounding. Like we get so caught up in so much bullshit that we forget,
Yeah.
like literally I have air in my lungs, you know, I have a home, I have clothes, I have food in my fridge, I have gas, you know, in my tank. Like there's so much, there's just so much, and there's so much support. And like I don't know,
Like sometimes when I leave the house, do you have this too, where like if a shirt don't fit right because I've gained weight, if a
mm,
shirt feels a little too tight, I'm thinking about it for a little bit, like maybe before I leave, should I go change the shirt? Like,
mhm.
and it's gonna be okay.
And it's gonna be okay. And the thing is, like, so many we okay, because we're like the star of our world, right? Like we're the center of our universe, and so we tend to think that people are looking at us as closely as we're examining ourselves, and that's just really not the case. And so, because I get self-conscious sometimes when I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm posting kind of the same thing all the time, or like that I'm doing this thing too much, and then it's like, girl, no one's paying that much attention to you. Like no one,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
okay.
so yeah, would be me and you would probably both be so easy to assassinate because especially me, I'm not aware of like my surroundings at all. Too much to say about that. Well, to notice that much. So like if someone really wanted to take me out, I mean, it's they can. They have permission basically.
I don't give permission.
Like my door's unlocked and everything. I don't give consent, but I definitely give permission. Like
You
my
want to
my
go ahead and
door's always
disclose
unlocked.
your address right now?
Yeah, I live off of like a 123 Fake Street. And like, well, here's my thing about that. I figured like let me leave my door unlocked because I have this weird trigger like locked doors, and we'll definitely do one of these again at some point because there's so much we can go to. Like locked doors really trigger me.
It's
I just get so frustrated and mad when a door is locked, and I know that everyone does that, but that's why none of my doors are locked. But also too, for anyone listening thinking about trying some shit, I lock my doors so you lose the element of surprise because you don't know what you're walking into. It could be an empty house, that can be up there. I could have a can of twisted tea around the corner in the cut in my house. So try me because you got stuff I want to take too. And I think that's how we end this podcast.
cool.
Just letting people know, don't mess with yoga with Consuelo. Don't mess with me.
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, look, I
We're
am
trying to heal. We're not
I'm
trying to hurt.
a gentle and passive person, but I am protected, so don't try it.
Exactly.
um,
Where can people find you, and where can people find all the good stuff that you post?
yeah, so right now, it's gonna be Instagram, which is the yoga with Consuelo, yoga underscore with Consuelo. And I have my link tree in there where you can find the link to buy, you know, to get your ticket for the healing session tomorrow. It's by donation. And then I'm going to be teaching gentle yoga via Zoom on Monday nights. So I'll have that link there too.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you'll be able to practice with me. And the thing about the gentle yoga that I'm excited about is like you don't have to turn your camera on. Like you can practice in bed in your pajamas, like just no stress.
Ooh.
Yes.
I guess those flannels I might pull up and shoot.
So yeah, so I have that. And I have another project coming up with a friend. So I mentioned like my spiritual awakening about a year ago, and so I have a friend where we want to create a space for men and women, and it'll be like a once a month type thing where we'll just get together via Zoom and like just talk, and I'll have some journal prompts and some meditation to just talk about like if you are a person of color and you've been sensitive your whole life and like didn't really know or understand um, it and like want to kind of dive in and explore that, well, that'll be coming up too. So I got a lot of really exciting stuff. But yeah, just follow me and I'll be posted. I say good morning. I post about my dog. I post about like all kinds of stuff. So
One of my favorite posts, and this is another reason why I love your Instagram.
mm,
Everyone go follow her. It's amazing. On top of that, I got really comfortable eating whipped cream out the can.
yes.
It felt good to let. I needed a win. I needed something for me. I was too excited. I needed that. I needed that. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm gonna go eat this bacon or this cold cut ham real quick. I'll be right
Yeah,
back.
why not?
Yeah, there's so many good reasons why at this point now.
Also, we can't have whipped cream cans in the house anymore because
Unless it's for work, unless you can write it off in your taxes, no more whipped cream cans. I need some tax deductible Cool Whip.
that's true. Cool Whip, if you wanna sponsor Black and Brown mental health and wellness, hit me up. Let's go.
Uh, Cool Whip, balls in your court. I really appreciate this. Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
that you went over your hard stock time with me, and all my followers really go follow this person. The reason why I did this podcast with Consuelo is because a lot of you guys send me some crazy stuff, and I can't burden this all. We need to split the load.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you too. I really appreciate you getting up in the morning and forcing me to do it. I didn't even say the name of the episode or who you are, but I feel like this is one of the best podcasts I've done.
Oh,
This is Two Cool Brothers, episode 8, I believe, with Yoga with Consuelo, and everyone go follow her in the link tree on her Instagram, and yeah, you'll get more out of it than she will. Trust me.